Okay, perfect. So I think we can slowly make a start because we have a lot of things that we want to talk about today. So a big welcome to this episode of the Language Teaching Takeoff webinar series, where we are focusing on making the most of the powerful tools available in the TeacherMatic Language Teaching Edition. My name is Giada, and I worked in the language education sector for 7 years. I'm now part of the Avalon team, where we focus on creating tools that really support and make a difference in the classrooms and support teachers and students as well. I'm pleased to introduce you to our host today, Nik Peachey. Nik will be focusing on TeacherMatic AI planning generators designed to support teachers, academic managers, and director of studies to plan before, during, and beyond the classroom. Also, a quick note about Nik. Nik is an award-winning author, educator, and EdTech consultant with more than 30 years of experience in language education. And he is especially passionate about using technology in language education, including AI, to support and empower teachers and students. And also, before we begin, just a few practical notes. You are welcome to submit all the questions that you have using the chat that you can find here below, and we'll try to address as many questions as possible towards the end of the session. Also note that the webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be shared via email the week after the event. And with that, I think we can make a start. So over to you, Nik, and thank you once again, all of you, for joining us today.
Okay, thanks very much. I'll start by sharing my presentation because that might take me a minute to find. Okay, come on. Okay, you should now be able to see it, I hope.
Yes, that works. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. I just need to rearrange my page a little bit. Okay, great, good. Just while I'm messing around with things on my screen and getting started, it would be really nice to know what your job role is within your school or institution that you're working in. So what your job role is and where you are, what country are you in, just to see who's here and if I know your job role, I can try and make it a little more relevant. If we're all teachers or all directors of studies or all teacher trainers. So if you can just add that. While you're adding that, I'll apologise a bit because I've got a bit of a dry throat today and I think maybe I'm finally getting the cold that everyone here has got. But we'll see. Good, that's great. Okay, so teacher trainers, people involved in quality assurance, that's great, good. Okay, so this session is on smarter planning and how to use TeacherMatic to help you plan in a smarter way, and especially a sort of time-saving way, I guess, as well. I'll give you a quick introduction to my relationship with TeacherMatic. We'll take a quick look at the generators and what they are, and then I'll look at 3 generators that will help you plan. One's for planning a scheme of work or a complete course, if you like, and then we'll dig down to the lesson planning stage, so the more granular stage-by-stage part, which I know we've looked at before, and then we'll look at getting suggestions for how to wrap lessons up, because that's something that teachers often forget to plan. You know, you're so focused on planning the lesson that you forget about the reflection and how to wrap it up afterwards. So we'll have a look at those things. So in terms of working with TeacherMatic, I think I've been working with TeacherMatic for nearly 2 years now. It's gone by very quickly. Initially, I worked with them on helping to adapt the tool from being a kind of general purpose education tool to being something that's specifically built for language learners and for English language teachers, which the version of it, you know, we work with now is. And I think it's important, that's really important to stress. because, one of the things that I think TeacherMatic have done really well is to sort of make sure that it's guided by the Common European Framework of Reference in terms of levels. And that's, something that really helps teachers out a lot, I think, because it's nothing worse than generating a lesson plan and materials that are way above the level of your students, or way below for that matter. When it comes to planning, if you're particularly interested in the planning ones, and these are the ones that we're going to be looking at today, I should remind you there are over 50, so they're not just for planning. As you see, there are all different kinds of generators if you look along the left side. And I've highlighted in red that if you click on this part, it will just isolate the planning ones for you. So that can sort of save a bit of time in terms of finding the ones that you want. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to now you're looking at the live site here. So I'll show you how that works. You've got your, you can select roles if you want to on this side. You can select teacher or leadership roles, and it will sift through the generators and select the ones that are suitable for you. Or you can do it by task here, and I've just selected the planning ones. So there's my planning ones now. And if you can see the little red hearts, I favorited these ones because these are the ones I want to show, and maybe ones you want to use regularly. So there's a great reason for doing that. You're hearing me talk about generators a lot, and it says generators a lot, and you're probably wondering, well, what are generators? Well, generators are pre-programmed AI prompts, if you like. So if you go to something like ChatGPT and you want to do it for something, if you want it to do something for you, you have to know how to write a prompt. And being good at prompt writing, or prompt engineering as it's called, is quite a skill and quite a difficult one. If you come to TeacherMatic and you use these generators, they're already written for you, but they show you an area where you can customize it so that the content is still specifically what you want. So, you'll get the best prompt, but the important customizable parts will come directly to you. Okay, so that's an important thing, important advantage. So when you come here, if you're new to this, you can click on the little eye to get information about how each of these generators work, or you can just click on use and it will open the generator for you, which is what I've done here, and you can see this one here. And this one is for generating a scheme of work, so a course, if you like. If any of you have to sort of rapidly create courses for special groups of students or anything like that, then this is particularly useful. I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to have a course title, and I'll imagine that I've got to produce a specialised course for students who want to learn about the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'll give it the title Sustainable Development Goals. And then I can have some specific topics to include. And so if I want to do that, I could sort of, maybe I don't want to do all of the goals, maybe there are specific ones that I want. So I don't know how well versed you are in your Sustainable Development Goal knowledge, but I'll focus on education, gender, quality, access to financial services, I'm spelling correctly, and clean water. So I'll just focus on 4. Oh, and it disappeared. Should have pressed enter. Okay, see what's going on. Okay, got it that time. Okay, now I can decide how many sessions that I want this split into, how many lessons, and I'm going to go for 6. 6 might seem a bit of an odd number, seeing as I'm focusing on 4 topics, but we'll see what it does with that. I've got the format. I want them in a table format. And now I can select the level of my students. I can say that they're B1. I've got an optional profile here, so I can put in something about the age of the students, which always helps as well. I've got teenagers. And you've got sort of optional support materials that you can put in here. I'm going to use a website. I'm going to go to the Sustainable Goals website over here and click the URL and copy it because I want it to draw on this information here from the Sustainable Goals. And there it is. It's appeared in here. And the other things that I could do is I could select a pedagogical model if I wanted to, could make it task-based learning. Let's do that. And I could also stipulate some emotional needs for my students if they have any particular learning needs. Then I'll get some advice about those things. Okay, I won't overcomplicate things at this stage. I'm just going to click on generate and we'll see what happens because I don't want it to take too long. Okay. And if we wait with our fingers crossed for just a few minutes, it's always one of those moments. I don't know if some of you are trainers, if you're ever doing online training and you click the button and hope that something's going to happen, then you'll know how this feels. It's going to happen though. It always does. There you go. Okay. So now I've got my description of each of my six sessions. Okay, and it's given me pre-task, main task, post-task, and wrap-up, which is in a TBL framework, and it's telling me the title of each one. So it's starting with an overall introduction of the goals, and then it's done a session on each of the goals, and it's given me the correct SDG number, which is great. And at the end, there's a review and action plan session. So it's kind of structured that very nicely. It's not just pulled in content about each goal, but it's actually structured it in a course format. So there's an overall introduction, there are individual goals, and then there's a review and actions plan stage. And it's given me some suggestions for teaching strategies. And if I want to, I can save the results so that I can come back to it later, or I can download it in any one of these formats, could be CSV, PDF, or put it into Google Drive or Google Classroom. Or if there's something a bit wrong, maybe I got one of my sustainable development goals wrong and I want to change it, I can just put the new one in there and ask it to refine it, and it will regenerate that just by clicking on regenerate. So that's great, and there are, these have got nice structures. So I'll just pick one, gender equality, SDG 5, and go to the next section. So the next generator I'd like to show you. So you've got your overall scheme, but you might want to drill down further and get a more detailed plan for each of those. So I can go to the lesson plan bit and then just sort of put my topic in there. So I'm going to put in gender equality, SDG 5. Overall goals, I want to develop speaking. So I want to get my students speaking about it. And I want to develop their awareness of it. 45-minute lesson. Pedagogical model, I'll stick with my task-based learning and go for, again, I said B2, wasn't it? Well, B1 last time, I think it was. And I could go for particular common CFR skills. I'll go for the speaking as well. I could even add in a subscale there. And so specific type of speaking if I wanted to. And again, materials for support. Again, I'm going to use my website here that I pulled. Oh, no, I've lost the URL for that now. Go quickly and grab it. Go back. There it is. And generate again. So this time I can start generating each of those individual plans to go with that scheme of work. Now I've thought more carefully about it. And again, I'll wait just a minute. While I'm waiting, the other thing to look at, I mean, we're looking at the planning the planning generators at the moment. But once you've got your more detailed plan, you want to go into sort of, the other generators to sort of generate the materials is where you would go next. Okay, so here it is my lesson plan. Again, it's in the TBL framework. It's got a TBL framework here, and it's going into a bit more detail here. So an introduction to the topic, and then there's a main activity. And then there's a review of the language that they'd need of it, and then some summarization and reflection. So kind of reasonably nice plan there, and it's got some resources underneath to go with it. So of course, these might not be perfect, but especially if you're under time pressure, or you're not really that well informed about the Sustainable Development Goals, then this is a great starting point, and you can save it and download it, export it to a Word document, and start working with it yourself and developing it. So I think that's sort of a really useful time-saving tool. The other one that I want to show you is the lesson wrap up. Again, that's the first one here. And again, this is something that teachers often forget when they're planning lessons. Is you're so focused on what's going to happen in the lesson and how am I going to achieve my goals, that you can sort of forget to sort of think about how you're going to ensure that the learning's taken place and how you're going to encourage reflection. So there's this one here which will give you some suggestions, and you can choose the number of suggestions you want. You can tell it what you want the topic to be. On the gender equality, I've got level B1 again, optional learners, it's still in there, so teenagers, supporting materials. Is my website still there? Yeah, my website's still there. And I've got a few optional settings. I could specify learning needs if I want to. I'll put something in there for this one. I'll put emotional and behavioural disorders and generate something, see how that impacts it, just to demonstrate that. Okay, should be here in a minute. We've got our fingers crossed again. Okay, yeah. So it's got teacher strategies for helping you with learners if they have emotional or behavioural disorders, which is great. And then it's got 5 different kind of activities that we can use for reflection. It's got a kind of true or false, where it's suggesting a match the picture, a gap fill, or there are discussion activities, or I like this one best. I think it's the poster for change. And creating posters to sort of is a really nice way to kind of reflect on what you've learned and what you've got out of things during the lesson. And again, if you don't like any of them, you can tell it why and get them to refine those ideas, or you can just regenerate, or you can ask for more ideas or tamper with some of the settings here if you want to. So that's a kind of nice flow of work. You go from the scheme of work where you produce a course or an overview of course units, then you can go and build individual lesson plans, and you can look at wrap up and see how you're going to encourage reflection and make sure that learning's taken place. In the meantime, of course, you're probably going to need materials as well, and there are lots of different things here, other generators here that can help you. And if I switch off the planning one, there are specific ones for speaking. If I just wanted the speaking ones, I could have a debate. This one could generate a debate on the topic of the Sustainable Development Goals, or one particular one, or discussions, classroom questions. Or if I wanted to do some listening or reading, I could actually get it to produce the reading for me. Could be dialogues or something from YouTube, maybe if I've got a nice YouTube video about them, it can create materials around that. So a great way of planning and developing all your materials within one platform. And of course, all this can be saved And if you're working on a school account, it can be shared among teachers as well. So that's really helpful, and it stops a lot of duplication of work. Yeah, I just thought I'd flick up the QR code for the course. There's a free course for TeacherMatic as well. So if you're interested and you want to get into it deeper, there's I think it's 2 hour course and you get a certificate and it's free. I know teachers always love certificates, and in some places they help you get a step up with your salary as well if you prove you've done some CPD. So it's worth having a look at that and learning a little bit more about it, and making sure that it's for you and that you can get the best out of it. And again, if you've got a school where you've got a whole bunch of teachers that you can't face training them on this, get them to do the course, and that could save you an awful lot of training time as well.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. And as you said, it's a free course, so definitely something to do if you want to increase your CPD opportunities for sure. Great. So then I think we can move on to the next slide, which I believe the one talking about the next webinar in the series, right? Indeed. So this session is going to be hosted by Pilar Capaul. She is a language teacher and ELT content creator. And in this session, which is going to be on Thursday, the 12th of March, we are going to talk about some very useful generators that can help for everyday teaching in different ways. So if you want to register for this webinar, I'm just going to drop the link in the chat, which is the same link that Nick is showcasing there, but it might be easier just for everybody to access it directly from the chat. Save your spot. It will be great to see you again there, where you can ask us more questions, and we'll continue go over the TeacherMatic generators in this edition of TeacherMatic, designed specifically for language educators. And also, in case your school or institution is interested in learning more about TeacherMatic and you want to see if it's possible to get licenses for a wider group of teachers, then I'm also dropping another link, which is the direct link to get in touch with our sales team. We can do a personalized demo to go through the needs of your institution. So thank you once again for joining us today. It was great to have you here. Thank you very much, Nick, because I think you showcase a very nice and useful workflow. And we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming along.